And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Andres versus Brazil. Step forward, please.
Brian Andres is suing his ex-fiancée, sales rep Trisha Brazil, for an unpaid loan for office equipment. Trisha is countersuing for the return of personal property, unpaid rent, and harassment.
All right, Mr. Andres, your lawsuit says that the defendant, with whom you lived and you have a child with, owes you money for a loan for office equipment that allowed her to work in the house.
Correct.
Equipment that you purchased, she used, when you separated, she took, and you want her to pay for it.
Correct.
The defendant says there was never a discussion of a loan for this office equipment. It was a way of her earning a living while you were together because you were incapacitated for a period of time. You were not working. She had to support both you and your son that you share. She has a counterclaim, which is a whole bunch of nonsense, and Miss Brazil, let me deal with it right now, because I want to keep this case as clean as possible. You say that he took a camcorder of yours, that he owes you for rent during the time that he was incapacitated last year or the year before, that he said he would pay you for, and a chair, okay? That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you that I think that's all a bunch of nonsense, and you never would have filed a counterclaim had he not sued you for this office equipment.
That's true. I'm desired to be in court, and I would have never. But
Absolutely right.
But part of what he's suing me for is the camcorder, part of the...
I'm not interested. So let's understand each other. This isn't a tit for tat. He has a lawsuit. I'm going to get to his lawsuit. And I'm not worried about your chair and your camcorder and this old rent bill that he was supposed to pay you if he ever got better.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Andres says ex-fiancée Trisha Brazil owes for an unpaid loan for office equipment.
That was your arrangement. You were a family, despite the fact that you didn't have a marriage license. You were operating as a family. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And at a time when you were injured, you discussed with the woman you were living with, the mother of your child, working from home. Is
Correct.
that right? Now, take it from there.
It wasn't so much her simply working from home. She was working for a company and decided that she could work from home, be close with the baby, and that's what we had talked. That's how the whole story got started. I looked at it. I had a large amount of money coming in from my 401k, and I said, well, we could do this. Since I am on disability, I had a very bad broken leg. What I was going to be able to do work-wise was really in question. I did warehouse work, and I taught karate on the side.
You had a very bad broken leg, and
Exactly.
you were incapacitated. Right, and you had a baby home.
This wasn't simply an opportunity for her to work from home. The deal was she was going to work from home. While I was on disability, she was going to teach me kind of tools of the trade so I could learn something new, so I'd have something to fall back on.
What kind of work were you doing?
I'm in marketing. I do graphic design work.
And you could do that on your computer at home?
Yes.
Okay, fine. When you broke your leg, is that right?
Correct.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes.
How long were you in the hospital?
Maybe 4 days, and I had to go to a rehabilitation hospital for another month.
And then you came home?
No.
And then where did you go?
I had to go to my mother's house. She has a 2-story home, and the bathrooms are upstairs. My mom's house was...
More convenient. So you stayed with your mom for how long?
Probably 2 to 3 months. And then I would go over to Trisha's house. I would stay the night with her. This is all when she was still pregnant with our child. And during the day when she went to work, she would drop me off back at my mother's house so I could...
Just she took care of you. You went over there, she picked you up, she took you back. Now, after the baby was born, where did you live?
After the baby was born, I lived with Trisha.
Moved into her house?
Correct.
Okay. Were you ambulatory at that point?
Yeah, with a crutch.
With crutches?
A crutch, eventually a cane, yeah.
Okay, with crutches. Now, the baby was born at that time.
In January, correct.
Who took care of the baby?
I did.
With your crutches?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. Good for you. Okay, so explain this loan to me. So now I've got office equipment that she was going to work from out of the house. How did the loan come about, Mr. Andres?
Our deal was she wanted to work from home. I was in a position where I can make that possible. And in return, I wanted to gain some type of knowledge from this. So that
Good. So, keep going.
It never happened. Time went on. She continued to use the equipment that I bought for her job that she was at. It never happened. In September, I ended up going back to work for for a warehouse in our area. She kept working where she was at, eventually left, and became self-employed.
I don't see a loan, sir.
I bought the stuff, Your Honor. I have the copy of the cashier.
So what?
That's the loan.
That's not a loan. That's not a loan, Mr. Andres. Where do you get a loan from that? You had a family. The family had to be supported. Needed, I gather, 2 people, your disability and her work to do it. You said, great, you work from the house. I'm going to buy this equipment so you can work from the house. You'll teach me. Period. End of discussion. It didn't become a loan until you separated.
Your Honor, we had a deal. Deal. We had a deal. I was to learn something. I paid
and you
for
didn't
my
learn
stuff.
anything. Whose fault is that? You went back to work. That is not a loan, Mr. Andres. That's not a loan. That's living together and planning a future that doesn't work out. That's not a loan. I understand from Miss Brazil, whose counterclaim I'm not even thinking about. Do you understand that?
No.
Well, I'm going to tell you. During what year do you claim that he owes you for rent?
The year of 2000, and then he paid rent intermittently during 2000 and part of 2001.
Okay, it's old, that's why. Because 2 years later, you don't wake up and say he owes me for rent in 2000. Because I know and you know that your counterclaim is nonsense. That you would never be here but for the fact of this nonsense about this equipment. Now, what I want to know is, she says that you didn't even bring up the issue of this equipment again until after she took you to court for child support.
That is not true.
Now, but one thing that amazed me, and I just want to find out whether I read it wrong. Are you currently under a child support order, Mr. Andres?
Yes, I am.
What is that order?
It's $38 a month.
That's what I read, $38 a month. What country do you live in?
The United States.
What state in this country?
California.
What county?
Stanislaus County.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now I'm not working. That's why it's $38 a month.
Why are you not working?
I've been looking for work, Your Honor.
Who's supporting you?
I'm staying at my mother's house.
That's nice. Collect cans, sir. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was a gift. It was planned that we would, you know, have a life together.
I mean, I put out money not just for her future, but my future as well, and it never panned out.
I don't want to go to court. This isn't how I would solve something.
I'm out $5,000, and I shouldn't be.
20-year-old receptionist Adriana Arias is suing former friend, 22-year-old chef Nicholas Arrieta, for stealing money from her bank account.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 189 on the calendar in the matter of Arias versus Arrieta. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. You okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Have seats, please.
Miss Arias, for some reason only known to you and those nearest and dearest to you and some being up there, you were dumb enough to give the defendant your ATM card and your PIN number. He is neither related to you by blood or marriage, correct?
Correct.
And it is your claim that without your permission, because you gave it to him for one thing, because he needed gas for his car and he didn't have any money, and without your knowledge and permission, he emptied out your bank account and just kept using your card, and you want your money back.
Yes.
Mr. Arrieta says that he did in fact take money out of your ATM, using your ATM card, and he took money out of your bank account, and he took it out to pay for a variety of things, and he did it with your permission, because you gave him the card and said, whatever you need, just don't shake your head, please, whatever you need, here's my card, and you can take it out. That's your position, is that right, Mr. Arrieta?
Yes, it is.
And how much money did you in fact take out of her ATM?
I believe it was around $750 and up, could have been.
700, did you understand what he said after $750?
And up it could have been.
And up it could have been. Up it could have been. Is that some sort of language that I'm not aware of?
Could have been more.
It could have been more. That I do understand.
Okay.
How much money did he withdraw from your bank account?
A total of $1,103, 104, I'm sorry. With 33 cents.
$1,104.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Arrieta, he's not exactly sure. He said it could have been $750 and up from there.
Yeah. Well, he pulled out a bunch of receipts. He should know.
First, I'd like you to tell me how you know him.
We've been friends for about 6 years now. We went to high school together since freshman year. We've never had problems, always got along just fine. There's times where we don't see each other, times we do run into each other.
I don't need a whole story.
Yeah.
That's how you've been friends for
Yeah,
7
we've been friends.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a receptionist at a hospital.
How long have you been employed as a receptionist at a hospital?
For about 10 months now.
And you have a responsible job?
Yeah.
You go to
it is.
work every day?
Sure.
And you take your paycheck and you pay your bills?
Yes.
Put your money in your account? You went to the bank and opened up a checking account? Is that right?
Yes.
And they gave you a secret PIN number? And they were very careful when they gave you a secret PIN number. You know, they made you go like this.
Yeah.
You know, so that the lady who was, or man who was giving you the PIN number, they couldn't see what you were doing.
Yeah.
Now tell me why you were dumb enough to give Mr. Arrieta your ATM card and your PIN number?
Basically,
Not basically. Tell me exactly.
The reason
When?
why.
Yes.
The reason why is because he had called saying that, you know, he and my sister here had a previous relationship where she had a kid out of the relationship and a paternity test was never done. Now, he won a settlement. He was in an accident a while ago. He won a settlement and he called on the 19th saying, I have the money now. I want to pay for this, you know, the blood test to get done, the paternity test. So when he called, he didn't have the money. He had to go pick it up at his lawyer's office. And when he called me, it's because he needed the money to put gas in his car to get there, which was out of town.
So he came over to your house?
No, I was at work. But he came to my house because he had previously tried to borrow my sister's credit card.
And did you tell him when you wanted him to return the car?
I told him to return it that same evening when I got out of work, which he agreed because he was going to come by.
All right, Mr. Arrieta, now I'd like to hear your version of the events, sir.
Well, I've known the defendant
I want you to.
I've known the defendant for several years, as she explained. I did have relations with her sister. It wasn't
I'm not interested about her sister and your relations with her sister.
The day that I asked for the card, I went to her sister. Her sister gave me a card which didn't work. It was declined. And then so...
What did you go to her sister's house for? To get a card for what?
To get a card for... I told her I needed some money, that I didn't have no money for the weekend. So she said, well, I'll give you some money. Because my thinking was because she thinks...
I don't care what you were thinking, sir.
Well, I asked her for some money.
I don't think that you think.
I asked her for some money, and she was willing to give me some money. Her card declined. That's when I called her and I told her.
Called who?
Called Priscilla.
Put your hand down. When did you call her?
I called her. I never had to call her. Priscilla had told me to go straight to her work, that her sister was willing to give me the card.
When you got there, did you see Adriana?
Yes, I did.
And tell me exactly what happened when you saw Adriana.
When I saw her, she smiled at me, gave me a hug. Hey, how you been? I miss you. It's been a long time. Spoke for a little bit about things, and then...
No, tell me what you spoke about.
We spoke about her nephew, which she claims to be my son.
No, what did you say and what did you say?
I said hello. She said hello back. And that was basically...
I want you to think hard.
For the card?
No, think hard. Think hard. You said hi, she said hi, gave you a big hug, and then she said what?
She didn't say nothing. I asked her how her job was going.
And she said?
She said it was going great. She works at the eye doctor.
And then you said?
I came over here to get the card that your sister told me to get because hers declined. She gave me her card and her PIN number.
And then where did you go?
Immediately after that, I went to go get repairs for my truck. Went to get a cell phone.
What are you, an idiot? Are you stupid?
No.
What?
No.
Do you come from a long line of idiots?
No, I didn't.
What?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
Me? I don't work.
Me.
I'm a chef.
Me.
Me?
I know what I do for a living. I know what he does for a living. I want to know what you do for a living. I don't want to know what this idiot does for a living because he can't keep a straight face. I want to know what you do for a living.
I'm a part-time chef.
So that means you work in a restaurant?
I work voluntarily sometimes here and there for
You work
weddings.
voluntarily, so who takes care of you?
I'm sorry?
What word don't you understand, Mr. Arias, that I just said?
Can you repeat the question?
Who takes care of you?
I live with my parents.
How old are you?
22.
What does your father do?
He's a machinist.
And your mother?
She doesn't work. She's a housewife.
And you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
My brother's 26. My sister's 23.
Is your brother living at home?
No, he's not.
What What does mean? Are you thinking of the answers?
Yeah, because sometimes he tries to...
Try not to think of the answers. Try just to tell the truth.
Yes, he does.
Good. He lives out of the house.
Yes.
And your sister?
She also lives out of the house.
Lives out of the house. She's 23.
Correct. 23.
All right. And is she married?
No.
Is she working?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She works as a receptionist for a doctor.
And how long has she been living out of the house?
6 years.
And your other brother? How long has he been living out of the house?
4 years.
So the only one that can't get their act together is you.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why you would want to tie yourself to this idiot for forever by forcing him to have a paternity test, I will never know whether he is the father, whether he's not the father. The guy's a jerk.
And later today,
Where's the phone?
We don't have it anymore. She said that we were not going to get the phone back, that she got to the phone before we did, and that he's dead.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Adriana Arias says former friend Nicholas Arrieta used her ATM card to steal from her account. Nicholas says he had permission to take the money.
Now, you take from your parents. You consider that their responsibility to support you. Is that right?
No, that's not the way I feel.
Well, then why do you continue to take from them?
I don't take from them.
Of course you do.
No.
Do you pay for the electricity in the house?
If I have money, I will pay for it.
How do you have money if you don't work? Is not an answer.
Part-time.
Part-time work.
When I do part-time chef, when I do cooking, sometimes
when
for
was
weddings.
When was the last time you did part-time
2
work?
weeks ago.
For whom?
For a friend.
Friend's name, telephone number.
George.
George what? And what kind of cooking did you do for George? What is his phone number?
Should I give you the whole food meal, the course of what I cooked?
What kind of work did you do for him? At a
I
restaurant?
cooked. No, I
Where?
cooked. At his home.
Oh, you went to his house?
Yep.
Why you would want him to declare the father of a goldfish, I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue.
My son's 4 now, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah, but why you would want to tie yourself to this idiot for forever by forcing him to have a paternity test, I will never know whether he is the father, whether he's not the father. As far as I'm concerned, you made a mistake. Write it off. Write it off. The guy's a jerk. However, he's a jerk that owes your sister $1,104. Judgment of the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I called him and, you know, I'll call you back. Never called back, so I kind of figured something was up.
It was a gift, so why should I pay her back?
He's basically worthless. He has nothing going for himself, and he brought this upon himself.
Accountant Monica Jones is suing homemaker Martha Escada for filing false charges of hit and run. Martha says Monica totaled her car.
Order. Come to order. All rise. This is case number 199 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Escada. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
I'm really a little confused with this case, but we're going to make sense of it. Ms. Jones, you're suing her because you say she filed false charges against you of hit and run.
Yes.
The hit and run was not against her person, but against a car that she was driving in.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
There was an incident involving the defendant.
Yes, there was.
First, tell me when the incident happened.
The exact day, it was on or about May 1st.
Tell me about it.
I was moving back into my home, and
You were moving back into your home from where?
from a corporate leasing unit.
Okay.
I rented a 26-foot U-Haul truck. I asked the guy to help me move, and he knew the defendant's boyfriend.
Did you know this person?
Not personally, no.
How did you find this person?
Just through verbal acquaintance, just seeing him around town. He's a handyman.
What's his name?
Michael Alexander.
So you asked Michael if he would help you move?
Yes. He then got the two other guys and said, you know, they were good workers and they will also help because I had a lot of furniture.
Okay, so there were going to be 3 men.
3 men.
And you rented the U-Haul.
And I rented the U-Haul.
Where did you pick them up?
I picked them up on 3rd Street East in Lancaster, California at Michael's home.
What happened the second day?
The following day, we had agreed the previous night to meet back at Michael's house early in the morning. I did so. I arrived.
So you, again, went back to Michael's house to pick up the 3 guys?
To pick up the 3 guys. As the one of the guys was walking out, he was arguing with someone in the house. I asked him, was he okay? Did he need to stay back? He said, no, let's go. So all 4 of us got into the truck. I drove off. Went back to the house, unloaded the truck, Later on that day, I was going down Avenue K, headed westbound. He spotted his girlfriend.
Were the three men still in the truck?
The three men are in the truck. I'm driving down Avenue K, which is a main street. I'm heading westbound. He spotted his girlfriend, which apparently is a defendant.
Had you ever seen her before?
No.
Never laid eyes on her before that day? Go ahead.
And he makes a comment to another guy. He said, oh, there she goes. She's about to turn around. I quickly glanced in my rearview mirror. I didn't really see anything. A few seconds later, she was behind me on my left-hand side, honking her horn and motioning me to pull over.
What kind of car was she in?
A little blue Toyota Tercel, something compact and small.
Now, how is she telling you to pull over?
Honking her horn and motioning like this. And so then I asked the guy, I said, do you want me to pull over? He said, no, she just wants to argue, just keep going. So I did. A few seconds later, she's now on the right side of the truck.
She's on the passenger side of the
On
truck.
the passenger side of the truck. Okay, she just got over. She's doing the same thing. And I asked him again, I said, are you sure? He said, no, keep on, she'll eventually pass. And I said, okay, fine. So I keep driving. She was yelling and screaming.
What was she yelling?
You know, she was yelling profanities at him.
At him, not at you?
Not at me, okay, not at first. When she got closer to the window, though, to where, because it was a long truck, when she got closer to the window, she did call me a B. But prior to that, she was, you know, on the side of the truck yelling and screaming at him, and they flipped it. I don't know, she flipped him off, and then he flipped her back off. So then they had a flipping off match, okay? And so I kept driving, and that was that. I moved all that day, you know, nothing. And the following day, I got a call from the Palmdale Sheriff's Department, said that they wanted to come look at the vehicle because they had been involved in a hit and run.
First of all, who was that guy? Who knew me?
Speak not until I speak to you. So it is your testimony that at no time did you ever hit her or hit her car?
Whatsoever.
Now, were you ever arrested?
No.
What happened?
The officer came to my house. He took a photograph of me. He told me to wait there at my house, that he was going to take the picture to her. If she verified that it was me, that he was going to come back and arrest me, for me not to go anywhere, to stay home that day. And I did. I was moving anyway. He never came back that day. I didn't hear anything, so I figured, okay, it's all taken care of. About a month later, I get a notice in the mail from the DMV stating that someone has inquired as to my driving record. Then I get a letter from the Sheriff's Department stating that I need to appear in court on charges of a hit and run and property damage. And
do you have a copy of that letter?
I don't have a copy of the letter, but I was summoned to court.
You have a copy of the summons?
No, this is the court dates, and the days I appeared in court.
Am I correct, Miss Jones, that the trial in this case commenced? Jury was selected.
Yes.
The first witness was called by the people.
Yes.
That was this lady right here.
Yes.
The second witness that was called was her mother. I assume that's you.
Mother-in-law.
You're not her mother, are you?
No.
Then be quiet. Then the matter was adjourned.
Yes.
And when everybody came back, the district attorney moved to dismiss the case.
Yes.
The district attorney moved before you even had an opportunity to put on your case. At the end of their case, the district attorney said, we move to dismiss in the furtherance of justice. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, this report says that they found on your U-Haul a smudge of blue paint that was consistent with the blue paint on the car, her car.
Yes.
Can you explain that to me?
Yes, I can. When she got on the right-hand side of the truck and she was driving and cussing and carrying on, she skinned the side of the truck. At 35 miles an hour, she claimed that I hit her, that she skid and collided with me at 35 miles an hour.
I read what she said.
Okay, these are the photos.
I read the exact statement she gave to the police, which contained no information about her boyfriend being in the car, anything like that. As far as her statement to the police was concerned, you were total strangers and you totaled her car, and so may I see the photographs that you have?
In the photographs, you will see her car. The hood of it is dented and the grill is missing, but she admitted in court that that was damage that was done previously, that was not damage caused by the U-Haul. At 35 miles an hour, she wouldn't have had a front.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear you.
On May 1st, I was coming from East Side, All of a sudden, I see this U-Haul truck approaching me on the opposite side. She turned to the left. I just put the steering wheel a little bit to the right. That's why she hit the car. I have my pictures right here. On the side, you can see that's when she hit it.
What's your boyfriend's name, or what was his name?
Gino?
Gino. Was Gino in the U-Haul?
No.
Really? She says there was a person driving in the car who you knew. Is that true?
No. I don't know what.
Really?
I don't know
Ms. Jones.
what she's talking about.
Yes.
I don't know who's this guy. No.
You know who that person is?
No, even when I went to trial, they asked me. I didn't know him.
What about Michael?
Yes, I know. That's the guy I knew.
You have Michael's telephone number?
Yes, I do.
I'll take it.
One.
Now, why do you believe that the district attorney moved to dismiss the case after you and your mother testified?
I don't know.
You have no idea? All right. What's your name, by the way?
Gino?
Gino! You weren't in the U-Haul at that day, were you?
Nope. And I've been with her for 19 months.
Okay. Well, let me go see if I can get in touch with Michael.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Jones says Martha Escada falsely accused her of hit and run. She claims Martha was trying to pull a scam.
Well, Michael isn't there, but maybe I can get some information from the district attorney. By the way, do you have any photographs of your cars?
Yes, and I have another question. Who's this guy that she's telling you that that guy knew me? I want to see this guy, and I want to see if he's telling the truth. I don't know this guy. I don't know what she's talking about. I mean, bring the guy, tell me to my face that he knew me, and I'll tell to his face that I knew him too.
The question is not whether this guy knew you, madam. The question is whether you pulled up on the side of her truck. There was somebody in the car that you wanted to talk to. She wouldn't pull over, and then you claimed that she hit your vehicle and took off. She says that the U-Haul, it did in fact come in contact with your car, but it was because you were driving like a nut. So
Nope.
I want to see what the district attorney
That
has
is
to say.
not
If
true.
I can find the district attorney's name here, Richard Quinones. Let's see if we can locate him. And you have the paperwork while we're getting, see if we can get the
I have the
number.
police
You have the
report right
paperwork?
here, and I have pictures of my car.
Okay, let me see.
Also wanted to show the character when the police went to serve her. She said they didn't live there, and they do.
They didn't live where?
Initially when they went to serve her, and she said, "Oh, no one's here by that name. No one
Okay,
lives
by
here."
that.
And then the 10 days, my loss in pay, I brought my pay stub.
Just a second.
Okay.
I have to first find out whether these are false charges.
Okay.
That's what I have to find out.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Right. Yes, I do.
I mean, I wish I could get in touch with old Michael. That would make things easy. But since I can't, and you don't know the names of any of the other people.
No, I don't.
Okay. But why don't you have a seat?
Is it okay if I...
Yes, is Mr. Quinones there, please?
Yo estaba discutiendo con ellos y yo me puse a un lado de ella.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir. I haven't been able to reach either the district attorney at this hour, nor Mr. Alexander, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
So I want you to just hang around, and I'll see you back here as soon as we are able to get either one of these two people who should be
Okay, I
able
just
to
gave
give.
him a cell phone number.
You have a cell phone number for whom?
Michael Alexander.
Oh, that's perfect. Maybe we can do that. Yes.
When they went to serve me to that address, I moved since December. So I don't live in that address anymore. I live in Lake LA.
It's not important. Why is that important?
Because she said that when they went looking for me at that address, somebody told the police officer that...
And I
there's no
told her
one-
that wasn't important.
Okay.
The only thing that's important to me is whether or not you knew or appeared to have known someone who was driving in the truck with her on that date. And I would be also curious to find out why the district attorney moved on their own motion to dismiss this case after you and your mother testified. So we'll see you back here. Okay. Thank you. Well, I managed to speak to the assistant district attorney who handled the case. And after speaking to the assistant district attorney, he did in fact confirm to me that after the two of you testified, he decided to go out and have a personal look at the car that you say was damaged by the plaintiff. And after he made this personal inspection of the car, he believed that the damages to the car were inconsistent with the testimony that the two of you gave in court before she even had to put on her case. So he doubted your word, especially yours. That's number one. Number two, we were in fact successful in securing Michael Alexander's presence here for the recall. So, Bert, I believe Mr. Alexander is outside. Would you bring him in, please?
Sure thing, Judge. Michael Alexander?
Would you swear the witness, please?
Sure thing. Sir, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in the matters before you?
Yes, sir.
State your name for the record.
Michael Alexander.
Mr. Alexander, prior to coming into court just now, did you speak to Miss Jones?
Yes.
Did she tell you the questions that she thought I would be asking you?
No.
Okay. You helped her move sometime in, when was it, May?
Yes.
And you had a couple of other people that you had gotten to help her?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were those other people?
Keith and Jose.
Do you know their last names?
No. I met them at labor.
There came a time that Miss Jones came to your house to pick you up.
Yes.
And these two other men were with you in the truck and you moved one day.
Yes.
Do you remember the second day of your move?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember an incident involving this young lady right here?
Yes.
Look at me and tell me what you remember.
Well, I remember that we was traveling down Avenue K after we dropped off her furniture at her house and was headed back to the storage. And Jose said, that's my girlfriend. And I seen her throw a U-turn.
Jose, put your hand down. Jose said, that's my girlfriend.
Yes.
Where was she when he said, that's my girlfriend?
She was headed east coming down Avenue K.
And what happened next?
She threw a U-turn, and she came up on the U-Haul, and she was driving all erratic and fast. She was flashing her lights and blowing her horn and doing hand signals up out the window. And
Did Jose say anything to her?
He said, well, she asked him, do you want me to pull over? And he said, no, don't stop. She just wanted to argue. And so we kept going.
Did you see Jose after the move? Have you seen him since?
No.
Have not?
No, ma'am.
Is there any question in your mind that this was the young lady in the car?
No.
Look at me. What color car was she driving?
Blue.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. If you have any questions for Mr. Alexander, you can ask me and I will ask him.
Okay. Who's this guy, Jose? I don't know nobody by that name, Jose. And I'm not going to let these people get away with it because they're lying. No. I want to see this person and to identify me, and I'll do the same thing to him. I am not going to let these people lie. No.
Miss Jones, I've been involved in the criminal justice system for a very long time. And I'll tell you right now, very rarely does a district attorney who takes a case to trial, impanels a jury of 12 people, wastes court time, expends time in preparing a case. Very rarely does a district attorney stand up at the end of their case and say, we don't believe our witnesses to the extent that we're moving to dismiss this case because we don't even want it to go any further. I mean, maybe on one hand I can remember that amount of time. This district attorney didn't believe you, didn't believe your mother about what happened. And I don't know who Jose is, but I certainly see the pictures of your car, and I've listened to her testify. I believe her. That's all I have to believe. I believe that you were having some sort of an argument with a guy who was in that U-Haul it, and you were behaving erratically. She wouldn't pull over. You got ticked off. You called, and I believe that there was contact with the U-Haul. There's no question in my mind that there was contact with the U-Haul. It was your fault. And maybe you thought you could make a couple of bucks. No. That's what I think. That's what I think. And the fact that you called the police. Have you ever been incarcerated before, Miss Jones?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an accountant.
I think that not only did you cause her trouble, because I looked at how many times she had to appear in court based upon your phone call to the police that was fraudulent. She had to appear in court. She had to be embarrassed. There's a certain embarrassment about it. When it was your fault and you lied. And she's entitled to what she's asking for, which is $5,000. And I'm entering a judgment for that. $5,000 for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Excuse, you may step out.
I'm happy with the outcome, and I feel that justice was served.
I don't have no comment with this lady.
I had a sick daughter at the time, and she was in cancer treatments, and it was hard, and it was just uncalled for, and I'm very satisfied with the judgment.
She's lying to her teeth.
Go to judgejudy.com and fill out the form and get on the show.
Yeah. And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mason Wilson versus Wilson. Step forward, please.
Thomas Mason and his fiancée, Joanne Wilson, are suing Joanne's son, 21-year-old fast food worker Jesse Wilson. Joanne says during an argument, Jesse assaulted her.
You're Miss Wilson.
Yes.
Is that right? And this is your boyfriend. His name is Mason.
Yes, that's correct.
And this is your son.
Yes.
And it is your claim that your son assaulted you, which resulted in your hospitalization. You want him to pay for any unreimbursed medical costs that you had, as well as for something for pain and suffering. I don't know what Mr. Mason is doing here unless he paid some of the bills. Did you, sir?
I paid them, Your Honor, yes.
You paid them, that's why you're here. Your son says that he didn't assault you, that you fell over a table because you were drunk. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did this incident occur?
January 15th. Yeah.
Where?
In my house.
Who was at home?
I was at home. He was there. In fact, he was leaving that day.
Who was he?
My son. And
leaving permanently?
Yeah.
Why?
He was moving out.
Why?
Well, he thought $25 a week was too much. He said he should pay nothing to live with me.
How old is he?
He's 21.
Go ahead. So what
So
happened?
we got into argument that night, and
What did you get into an argument about?
Miscellaneous things, and I quite don't remember. I remember falling, and I remember him picking me up, and he was saying sorry to me. He said, "Ma, I'm sorry," and he put me on the couch. After that, I don't remember nothing, except when going to the hospital, they had to put the thing around my neck. They had me in a board, and then they had to rush me from that hospital to another hospital.
The only thing you remember is him picking you up, saying...
I remember him saying, "Ma, I'm sorry." He picked me up and put me on the couch. And then I woke up later on, and my boyfriend came later that day, that night, and he made me go to the hospital. I wasn't going to the hospital. I was dizzy and everything, but I told him I would be fine. And he told me, no, I think you better go to the hospital. Something don't look right.
Had you been drinking?
Yeah, I had been drinking.
How much?
I had maybe a half a pint that night.
Half a pint of what?
Rum.
What time did you start drinking?
It was about 6 o'clock that night.
Do you drink every night?
No.
How often do you drink?
I drink on a weekend, occasionally on weekends.
You have a drinking problem?
No.
You have anything to drink today?
No.
All right, Mr. Wilson. Your mother says that you said sorry. You want to tell me what happened?
I had came home from work at the time of the day of my birthday, and
This was your birthday?
Yes, my birthday. I had came home, right, and she was drunk because I smelled it on her breath. Me and her got into an argument over how stuff was going in the house. I told her I have no, like me. Sometimes I might leave something around the house, something like a cup or a plate or something. I understand. Sometimes I do intend to forget stuff, but I always do what I have to do in the house, you know. And when she kicked me out, I was getting all my belongings, and she had grabbed me.
Where did she grab you?
She grabbed me in my left arm, and when I told her, "Can you get off me?" she did not want to let go. And when I took my arm like that to get her off me, she had fell back and lost her balance.
You didn't hit her, did you?
No, I would never assault my mother.
You never put your hands on her?
No.
Well, she doesn't remember what happened. All she remembers is falling, and you saying you're sorry. So what are we doing here? Mr. Mason, what are we doing here, sir?
Well, Your Honor, this has been going on for quite a while. It isn't just the first time. He broke a window once before in the house because he got mad.
But
I have bills here, and I have the original letter that I wrote to him, gave him plenty of time. All I was looking for was my original amount of money that I put out.
For what?
For the expenses of what it costs to take her to the hospital.
Just a minute. There's no proof he assaulted her, sir.
Well, I had asked her what happened when I came home. She called up this friend of mine. I was at his house, and I came home. She had told me what happened, that Jesse had pushed her, and I said, you best you go to the hospital to get checked out. We went to one hospital, and they needed better equipment. They had to transfer her to another hospital, and they weren't sure if she would be paralyzed from the neck down or not. And like I said, it's not a question of just now. It's been a question of a problem when it's $25 a week that he's paying rent. We're going to get television, the telephone, the whole thing over here for $25 a week. And then he wanted to live for nothing.
How long have the two of you been living together?
Over 2.5 years.
And whose house is it?
It's her apartment.
It's her apartment?
Yeah.
And he's not
so
on the lease.
Just a second. So you're living in her apartment?
Half and half, Your Honor. I have my own apartment right around the corner.
What do you mean half and half?
I stay sometimes, a lot of times. I stay on the average 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time.
Listen to me. It's none of your business.
Okay.
This is between Miss Wilson and her son. Has nothing to do with you. Nothing. As far as I'm concerned, Miss Wilson shouldn't be here with her son today. She had a little too much to drink, and if she got into even a shoving match with her son and she fell, that's unfortunate. Probably was tipsy to begin with and fell. She shouldn't be fighting with her son. She shouldn't be fighting with her son on his birthday. And you shouldn't pour salt in the wound because you're not family. You don't precipitate coming to court when you're not even related. Precipitate a mother from bringing a lawsuit against a child. That doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't let anybody pressure you into bringing a lawsuit against your son, which you probably wouldn't have done on your own.
No, but I think he deserves it, especially when he busted my window. I wasn't even supposed to let him live with me. Housing don't want him there because he got kicked out of his sister's house because of the same problem.
Miss Wilson, let me tell you something. I'm not giving him any stars for good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long you've been drinking, but I would guess, based upon my experience in the courts, that you've been drinking a long time. Long time.
Okay.
That's not the way to bring up a child. So if you have a child that is troubled at age 20, you look to yourself and say, what did I do as a mother? Was I drinking most of the time? Was I doing the right thing most of the time? And if you were not, you don't precipitate a lawsuit because you set zero example for him. Just want you to think about that. Your lawsuit's dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's got to smarten up. It's as simple as that.
I understand that's her boyfriend. He has nothing to do with it.
This isn't the first time this is taking place.
He should stay out of it, like the judge said.
He's had trouble in the apartment before.
I don't know how my mother could make some man come in between her son and her.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stavitsky versus Pickett. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Karen Stavitsky is suing her best friend's estranged husband, technician Tim Pickett, for an unpaid loan for an engagement ring.
Miss Stavitsky, the defendant became engaged and then married your best friend.
That's correct.
Is that your best friend?
Yes.
So you and the defendant were married at some point, or still are married, but in the process of divorcing.
Correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
When did you become engaged, sir?
December 21st, I believe it was.
Of what year?
1999.
And you wanted to buy your fiancé an engagement ring,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you didn't have enough money, so that the plaintiff lent you some money.
Yes.
How much money did she lend you?
$1,678.95.
Is that the total amount of the ring that was purchased?
Yes.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her with regard to her making this loan to you.
Well, we had come to an agreement that I would pay her $100 a month until the ring was paid off.
She was very nice.
Yes.
Well, the lawsuit is all about this. They got married. When did you get married?
June 17th of 2000.
And you were making payments on the ring.
Yes.
You still owe some money on the ring.
Yes.
And you say, I'm not paying for it anymore. Right?
Correct.
Get it from her. That's your position.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain to me how that works.
Not long after the marriage, we were having financial difficulty, and Karen was aware of this, and we had talked, and she agreed that what I could pay her as often as I could, I would. Since the divorce was filed, I haven't been able to make any payments because of the payments that I'm making as far as covering bills and child support, and now Karen has filed suit against me for the outcoming of the ring.
Well, why should she be out the money?
Well, she shouldn't be out the money, Your Honor, but the cause of the divorce, I mean, my children were verbally assaulted, and I'm sorry, I don't stand for that type of treatment to children, so I had to leave the home.
Well, your wife's not the plaintiff in this case. She's the plaintiff. She was a nice person. She lent you money so that you could buy a ring because you were in love with this girl. You wanted to give her a ring. You said, I don't have the money. Lend it to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
She lent it to you.
Right.
And now you're in your answer. You say, I don't have the marriage. I don't have the ring. I don't get to look at the ring.
Well,
and therefore, I don't have to pay for the ring. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I've requested that the ring be given back or to be sold to pay off the loan on the ring.
I know that's what you requested, but why do you think that you're entitled to that?
As far as a wedding ring to me, Your Honor, it represents...
Engagement ring, not wedding ring.
Well, it's an engagement wedding ring set.
Okay.
Is honor, trust, which was broken in the marriage.
By her?
No. That's why I requested the ring back, so it could be sold to pay...
You don't get it back.
Money.
You don't get an engagement ring back once you've been married. You get an engagement ring back if you're not married. An engagement ring is given in contemplation of getting married. It has always been my position that if the engagement is broken, whosever fault that is, the ring goes back to the person who gave the ring because there's no contract. But once you get married, what you're suggesting is all those people who get divorced, the ex-husbands get back the engagement ring, whether they're married for a year or 2 years or 25 years or 30 years or 50 years, they get back the engagement ring. Is that your position?
Yes.
Wrong! How much does he owe you on the ring?
$978.95.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have to honor what the judge decided.
Well, I'm just glad to get my money.
Make my life miserable, I guess.
I'm not making his life miserable.
It's been a rough time on me.
I had nothing to do with his marriage breaking up.
I still think that the ring should have been returned to pay off the debt.
I think he owes her the money, and I think it's ridiculous that he brought our marriage into the whole matter.
Make sure you know the person you're getting married to.
I bought his ring, and I paid for it myself. I think he should pay for it himself.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Morton. Step forward, please.
Nurse Danae Johnson and her husband, Robert, are suing their niece's boyfriend, 18-year-old handyman Derek Morton, for damaging their car.
Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, is this your daughter?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Your daughter was dating the defendant.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah. And you didn't approve?
Absolutely not.
According to your complaint, the defendant purposely damaged your car, or a truck that you were in. And it appears to me that when you came home one day, your daughter wasn't home, you went to the police station to find out if they could help. You thought she was with the defendant. You were on your way home, you saw his truck, you decided to follow his truck, to confront him, and talk to him about dating your daughter. Is that right?
Yes.
And it was during this attempt to talk to him that he damaged your vehicle.
No.
Why don't you tell me what happened? You go home, you don't find your daughter. You go to the police, you're on your way home. You see his truck. Pick it up from there.
We followed the truck, and he took a turn.
You followed the truck?
Yes.
Go ahead.
He takes a turn down a road that has a circle drive on it, and as he went into the circle drive, I stopped and just sit there waiting for him to make the turn and come out the other side.
So you blocked his way?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
My husband got out of the car, went to the passenger side of the car, pulled our daughter out of the car.
You go over to the passenger side. Open the door?
Yep.
And how did you pull your daughter out?
I grabbed her by the arm and pulled her on out of there, and
what is she saying to you as you're pulling her out of the car?
she started screaming, and I don't know exactly what she was saying, but she was yelling.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danae and Robert Johnson claim they spotted their 14-year-old daughter driving with 18-year-old Derek Morton. The Johnsons say when they pulled them over, Derek damaged their car.
Okay, you get her out of his truck.
Right.
And what do you do with her when you get her out of his truck?
Well, she's standing beside me. I kind of leaned in my head in there to tell him to not be messing with my daughter, and that's when he started to take off. And he kind of hit me with his truck on the leg, and then I was worried about her because she was out of the car, and he started coming toward her and hit her with the truck.
Hit her body or hit her car?
Hit her body.
Our daughter was jumping on his back and telling Derek, go, take off, take off. I got out of the car to go get my daughter, was what I was doing. And
to pull
she started
your daughter
screaming.
off your husband's back?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And she was yelling, take off, Derek, take off. And as I rounded the back of the car, he just floored it and was taken off. And I threw myself out of the way, caught my arm with his truck, kind of spun me around a little bit. He went on down the road, and I was furious, to say the least. We all got in the car, and we're headed to the police station. And we get down the gravel road a little ways, and Derek's just kind of toying around, going 3, 4, or 5 miles an hour, you know. Not really fast enough that you could follow him, so I stopped and looked down to grab an ink pen to have my husband write down his license plate number so there could be no question who it was. And as I was looking down, Bob and Jennifer yelled, watch out, Mom! And before I could look up, he had already thrown his truck in reverse, reversed into me, and then takes off again.
That's what happened. So I was absolutely right. You went to talk to him and get your daughter out of his company, and it was during that time that you alleged that he both assaulted you with his truck and assaulted you with his truck and caused damage to your vehicle, right?
Right.
That's what I said when we started. So I only have a couple of questions for you, Derek. How old are you?
18.
How old is she?
15.
14.
14. You get the drift that her parents aren't crazy about you.
Yeah, but I want to tell my side of the story too. So.
I'm ready.
All right. They said it's a bunch of bullshit.
Now listen to me. Listen to me. Derek, do you know the difference between rain and shine?
Yes.
Listen to me. Look at me. I don't want you to follow it through. You know the difference between rain and shine? Yes?
Yes.
Do you know the difference between black and white?
Yes.
Do you know the difference between a playground and a courthouse?
Mm-hmm.
Speak.
Yes.
In a playground, you can use whatever language you like. In a courthouse, watch your mouth, or then I don't listen to you. Do we understand each other, Derek?
Mm.
Now, you're going to start to tell me your story again, but you're going to leave out the playground language. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Speak.
Yes.
Good. Now I'll hear you.
All right. I was driving down the road, right? And then she was on my bumper.
Correct. That's exactly what she was doing. They did exactly the wrong thing. Whatever they did was wrong, mother and father.
Did you let me finish my story?
Did you just hear what I said? I said whatever they did was wrong.
Well, be quiet while I'm talking. All right, this you.
Oh, get him out of here. Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, sometimes God did not shine on you right. God did not shine on him and give him brains. It gave him the brain cells of an amoeba. You know, we all had to start from someplace. So I understand if you don't want your daughter to have anything to do with him. However, you went about it the wrong way. Do you understand?
Yes.
You went around it the wrong way. Your initial reaction was right. You went to the police station and you said, my underage daughter is with this 18-year-old cretin, and I want him out of her company. But you cut him off. You touched his car, sir. When you grabbed open the door to his car, you put your hands on his property. In a threatening manner, you created a situation where your own daughter is jumping on your back. Is that ridiculous?
Well, I wasn't going to do nothing. The cops told me if I assaulted him, I'd be going to jail, so.
Listen to me, sir. You were creating a situation that potentially was inflammatory because he doesn't have any brains. He reacts. He reacts like an animal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you probably knew that. I assume that you knew that. Maybe she doesn't know that. But you were smart enough to know that. You don't confront an animal. You let professionals, exterminators, confront animals. That's what the police are there for. You don't do it yourself, because when you do it yourself, you get your truck banged up. And that's what happens, and you got to pay for it. You still see him? Are you sure?
I'm sure. I think he's a jerk.
A jerk? Huh. To put it mildly, jerk. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, go home. Take your daughter home. Goodbye. That's all.
Oh, he's excused. You may step out.
I don't think it was right, and I'm not going to think it was right. He's devastated my entire family.
Her being raped because she's just a kid and him getting away with it and cops not helping us.
I was with him because she made me mad and made my boyfriend break up with me.
Keep a good eye on your child and know where she's going at all times.
Restaurant General Manager Doug Bielefeld and his daughter, 17-year-old Ashley, are suing Ashley's former friend, 18-year-old Christopher Jenneret, for damaging her car. Christopher says he had permission to drive it.
Order. All rise. This is case number 279 on the calendar in the matter of Bielefeld versus Jenneret. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Bielefeld, other than being the owner of this car that was damaged allegedly by the defendant, you have no independent knowledge of this case. Is that right?
That is correct. She also is it her car. It's not my car.
It's your daughter's car?
Yes, she owns the car.
Okay, so why don't you have a seat?
Okay.
Step up. Your first name is?
Ashley.
Ashley, according to your complaint, you went out partying one evening and the defendant was within this group that you were partying with. Is that right?
Right.
And you don't know what happened, but you passed out. The next day you woke up and you found that something had happened to your car.
Right.
You don't remember giving anybody permission to drive your car?
No, I don't.
When did this happen?
August 27th.
Your first name is Chris?
Yes.
Tell me about August 27th, Chris.
Well, we were all drinking.
Who was all?
My witnesses, me and Ashley.
These two people?
Right. Just
the four of you?
Yes.
Where were you drinking?
At Jean's apartment.
Who's Jean? Can I see a show of hands, please? Who's Jean?
I'm Jean.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay, we were there drinking. Okay, and as it got later, me and Dalton, my friend Dalton right there, we got hungry, so we wanted to go get something to eat. So we asked Ashley if we could use her car to get something to eat. We went down to Jean's car, got the keys out, took her car to go get something to eat.
Just a minute. Hold on. Hold a second. Let's backtrack a little bit. You were at his house drinking.
Right.
What were you drinking?
It was Smirnoff vodka and Cardi Gold, I believe.
And what time had you started drinking?
We got the stuff about 10 or 10:30, and
How did you get to his house?
I rode with Jean.
Jean?
Yes.
How did Ashley get to the house?
She drove her car.
Herself?
Yes.
What time did she get there?
We got the alcohol and we all just met up there, so right afterwards.
So about 10 or 10:30?
Right. That's when we got the alcohol, and then after that we went to Jean's apartment.
So there were two cars there?
Yes.
Jean's, your friend's, and Ashley's?
Right.
And then I assume you all were drinking. Is that
yes.
right? What time did you get hungry?
I'd say it was around in between 3 and 4, probably 3 or 3:30.
So you had been there for a long time drinking?
Well, we weren't necessarily drinking the whole time nonstop.
I didn't say double time nonstop. You were up from 10:30 till 3:30. You hadn't gone to sleep and you were drinking.
Right.
And you got hungry about 3:30.
Yes.
Where in his apartment were you when you got hungry?
Right there in the living room.
Were you all in the living room?
Yeah.
Where was Ashley in the living room?
Look
at me. Where was Ashley in the living room?
Look
at me.
She was by the couch.
What do you mean by the couch? What does that mean? Standing up
by
at
the futon. I mean.
What does by the futon mean?
She was standing beside the futon.
Standing?
Yes.
How long had she been standing, Chris?
I don't know.
Well, it was about 3 or 3:30. You got hungry. You turned around and you saw her standing by the futon. What was she doing standing by the futon?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to her. I mean, I wasn't
So
paying
then why
attention.
did you give me an answer? She was standing by the futon.
I mean, I wasn't specifically watching Ashley, so I couldn't tell you exactly what she was doing. But we were all in the living room. We were all by his door. Me and Dalton got hungry. We asked her if we could use her car. We went down the stairs.
Why didn't you use his car?
I just didn't ask him because I figured he'd say no.
Why
so
did you think he'd... Shh! Why did you think he'd say no? He's your friend.
Well, because he's a little more picky about his cars, so...
What does that mean? Explain that to me, Chris. He's what do you mean, a little more picky about his cars?
He really doesn't like to just let people borrow them or
Especially
nothing,
people
so.
who have been drinking.
Probably.
Now, what kind of car does Ashley have?
Dodge Neon.
A new one, an old one?
It's like a 95.
Is it in good shape, or was it in good shape?
Yeah.
What kind of car does he have?
ZX2, 98.
So, who got hungry?
Me and Dalton.
So the boys got hungry.
Yes.
Ashley wasn't hungry.
Nothing I know of.
Did you ask her?
No.
No, let me go back there for 1 second, Chris. You were, shh, please. You were going out to get food because you were hungry, is that right?
Yes.
Who was hungry?
Me and Dalton.
What's the other kid's name?
Gene.
Gene. Was Gene hungry too?
I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Why not?
Because me and Dalton were hungry and we just wanted to go get something to eat.
You mean you're just selfish people?
No.
You had 4 of you there, 4 of you up drinking all night, and you say, we're going to get something to eat. So you don't say to your friends who you've been drinking with all night, hey, we're going to get something to eat. You want us to bring you back something? You don't say that?
No.
No? Where were you going, by the way, at 3:30 in the morning to get something to eat?
I was going over to my friend's apartment to get some pizza that they had, so we were just going to heat it up and eat it.
To get pizza not from a store, from his freezer.
It was from a store, but it was in the fridge, so it was like leftovers.
How did you know that he had that leftover pizza?
I had talked to him earlier.
When earlier?
Before we got the alcohol, probably around 8 or 9.
Oh, tell me about that conversation that you had with him. I'm curious. Come on, Chris.
Well, we
Come
were
on,
just
the story's
talking
getting better.
and I knew...
Story's getting better.
Well,
About
we were
8,
just
9 o'clock. I'm speaking. When I speak, you don't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm sorry. I took your car. I was drunk. I'm a fool. I'm an idiot.
Okay, but I don't know...
I don't want to hear you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Ashley Bielefeld says former friend Christopher Jenneret drove her car without permission and damaged it. Ashley says Christopher took her keys while she was passed out cold.
Now, at 8, 9 o'clock, before you went to get the vodka, you spoke to your friend and said, listen, I may get hungry later tonight. You got any food in your house? Is that what you, so that was the conversation?
No, I did not even plan on going over there. It's
so
just
tell me
something
about the conversation.
I can't remember the conversation.
Try to think hard. You weren't drunk at that point at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening.
He just called. We just talked, just like friend-to-friend conversation, and I knew that he had leftover pizza, and I knew he would still be up at that time, so we went over there to get some, which I never even ate because of this.
Because of what?
The car.
Well, now tell me what happened with the car. You went over to Ashley and you asked her for the keys when she was standing next to the futon after having been drinking from 10:30 until 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
And she said, sure, take my keys. She gave you the keys, is that right?
Yes.
And you got into the car?
the keys were in Jean's car.
You went down to Jean's car and got the keys?
Right.
What were the keys to Ashley's car doing in Jean's car?
I have no idea. I just know that the keys were in Jean's car.
How do you know that?
Well, okay, we went joyriding for a little while in Jean's car, all 4 of us. We drove around.
When did you do that?
This was before we got food, but after we started drinking. We were a little bored. We went driving around.
So that's somewhere after 10:30, but before 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
You went joyriding.
Yeah, it was probably
in his
around
car.
12, maybe.
Shh. In his car.
Yes.
So explain to me how her keys were in his car.
She had left them in there.
How do you know that?
I just knew.
How did you know? Look at me.
Because I knew they were in there. I saw them in there. I mean,
you saw them?
Yeah.
Just a minute.
We all
Because you saw them, that she had left them in the car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Keep going. I love it when they sort of trip over their ties.
Okay, so where would you like me to begin at?
No, I'd like you to continue, sir. You asked her for the keys when she
Right.
was standing next to the futon.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
But you already knew where the car keys were because they were downstairs in the car because that's where you had seen them when you were joyriding at 12:30. Is that correct? Yes. All right. So then you went downstairs and you took the keys out of Jean's car. Let's pick it up from there.
Okay. So then me and Dalton got in her car. We started driving. We were getting on the highway to go over there. Whenever we were entering the highway, we had to turn right to get on the ramp. So we turned right, we hit something, we had a blowout, we pulled over, and me and Dalton had walked back to Jean's house so that we could get him to take us back and help us change the tire and everything. So, because there was like nothing in there to fix the tire with, so we had Jean come back and help us.
Now, Ashley, According to you, you were so drunk, you just either drunk or drugged or something. You passed out, and you don't know what was going on.
I don't remember anything after we were driving in Jean's car.
Can I see the estimates for the car, please? Now, Mr. Jenneret, I am going to sum up the credible parts of your testimony, sir. And maybe this is a good lesson for you. Just because people are older doesn't mean that they're stupid. You were trying to get over telling me a story that didn't make sense. And I assume that you understand at this point that I understand that the story you gave me initially and the story that you wrote in your answer was a lot of who shot John. Because I believe that you all were drinking from 10:30 until 3:30. I believe that you all went out joyriding in his car. I believe that you decided to continue the joyriding and that he said to you, you're not taking my car again because you're drunk as a skunk. I do not believe that you asked her for the keys to her car because you already knew where the keys to her car were. You had seen them in the car at 12:30 when you came in. So you knew that her keys were downstairs. Why in the world would you go over to her when she was standing next to a futon and saying, can I have your keys, when you already knew where her keys were? Stand up straight. Now, when you hit something, according to you, you just had a blowout and that's all you had. No, that's not what happened. You hit something with such force that the tire blew out, knocking the whole alignment off the car. That's what happened. You're responsible. Period. End of discussion. I'm sorry. I took your car without permission. I was drunk. I had no right to be driving a car. I not only could have killed myself, I could have killed somebody else. I'm a fool. I'm an idiot. And I'm going to pay for the damage I caused. That's what you do.
Okay, but I don't know.
I don't want to hear you. Whatever damage it was, maybe it wasn't attributed to you. Sometimes when you're stupid, you got to pay for things that weren't even your fault. Sometimes you do. Maybe the bumper on the car was loose and might have fallen off the next day, but because you took the car and hit something, it was damaged already. You damaged it a little bit more, it fell off. It's your fault. You had no right to get behind the wheel of a car, any car, yours, his, hers, because you were drinking. No right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Ashley Bielefeld says former friend Christopher Jenneret drove her car without permission and damaged it. Ashley says Christopher took her keys while she was passed out cold.
Anything you want to say? Anything you...
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
I just want to make sure that the fact that he did ask for the keys, me and Ashley were sitting on the couch together.
No. You weren't sitting on the couch, sir. She was standing by the futon.
That is the couch.
She was standing by the futon.
I'm saying we were sitting on the couch.
Well, so far, that's a different story that he just gave me.
That's my story. I believe...
Let's go. So you and Ashley were sitting on the couch. And?
Yes. And he came up, asked her for her car, and she said her keys were in my car. And then he asked me for my keys to see if he could go to the car and get her keys, which is what happened.
Well, but that's not what he just told me, sir. He told me that he saw the keys in her car after you had been joyriding in your car. So he knew where the keys were. You see, that's what he just told me. Maybe you're all a little blurred because you were drinking too much.
I understand.
Is that a possibility?
Yes, it is.
Good. Sit down. You want to say anything?
No, I'm all right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $744.52. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't remember that night.
Well, yeah, we were partying and it did get out of hand.
They're obviously too young and irresponsible to be doing acts like this, drinking and driving, out running around.
What's done is done.
I want her to be able to put this behind her and move on.
We don't even talk anymore.
Not to drink as much, maybe.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeMars versus Bona, step forward, please.
Food server Janice DeMars is suing her ex-boyfriend, computer technician Rockford Bona, for an unpaid loan to start a business. Rockford says the money wasn't a loan, it was an investment.
Mr. Morris, you and Mr. Bona were in a relationship several years ago, and you claim that you made a loan to him. He was starting up a new business. You want that money back. How much did you loan him?
$5,000, Your Honor.
Mr. Bonus says that this was never a loan. This was an investment that you made in his business. I've read your papers very carefully. I want you to tell me when you gave him the money and tell me about the circumstances surrounding you giving him the money.
Okay. I met him in 1998, and July 23rd, 1999, I was over at Rocky's house, and we discussed a loan about him creating some software. So I went home, got the money, and put it in the bank. Jim came with me. So I do have a witness. I have the receipt because he gave me a deposit slip, and that was the circumstances of the loan. And I did want it back. It was never a gift.
He didn't say it was a gift. All right, now you tell me your end, Mr. Bona, and then I'll make a judgment. Go ahead.
All right, Your Honor. First of all, this is really not about money. It's about relationship issues.
Let me hear about the money first.
Okay.
You worry about the relationship. I'll worry about the money.
I was working for a company, and Janice here was with me when I was talking to the marketing guy about how the company was going to try to solicit investors for this software. She got excited about it and wanted to invest in it. I said, great. First of all, it's not my company, and she dealt with them directly, not I.
I did not, Your Honor.
Where did you put the money?
I did not take the money, Your Honor. She put it in the company herself.
Put it in your account.
I put it in his account. He gave me a deposit slip, and I put it in the bank in St. Cloud because he lives in Ham Lake, which is 60 miles away or so.
Well, did the money eventually find its way to your account, sir?
Not to me personally, no. Your
To whom?
I have a receipt.
Shh. To whom?
To the corporation I was working for.
Okay. Were you a shareholder in this corporation?
No.
Did they go out of business?
Correct.
When did they go out of business?
2000.
I was never notified. He never kept me informed about any business loan. It was not a business loan. It was
Sure it was. You want to know why it was, Mr. Morris? And I'm going to tell you why. Because I read your complaint very carefully. This is what you said in your complaint. We discussed from the beginning that I would not get any money back for at least 2 or 3 years because that is how long he expected it would take to make a profit.
But
that's what you wrote. Bert, that is right, isn't it?
But after 2 years, he didn't even try to pay me
That's
back.
right.
He never called.
He doesn't. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Whatsoever.
This is what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Morris. So this was money, whether it was an investment or a loan. It is clear to me that the intention was that you would get your money back when the company made a profit.
That was
Here are your
just-
words. I'm going to read them
Never
again,
discussed
Mr. Morris.
that way.
I'm going to read them again. We discussed from the beginning that I would not get my money back for at least 2 years because that is how long he expected it would take to make a profit.
Yeah, if he would call me up, keep me informed, and let me know what's going on. He never did anything like that.
Hey,
And
it's
it
your
was like-
money. So you got to be smart enough to call him.
Yeah, I guess.
You got to be smart enough to call the company. That's your job.
Well,
That's
he
your
did-
job.
He took advantage of me. He
So
really
take
did.
advantage of you. What does that have to do with me? You gave him money. You invested in either him or the company. Clearly, you expected to get money back. You expected
Yes,
to
I
get
did.
your money back
Yes, I
from the
did.
company.
No,
Because
it
that's
was a
what you said in your
Yeah.
sworn complaint. When the company made a profit, you expected to get your money back. That's what you said.
Well, I expected him to let me know what was going on. There was no papers filed
Well,
about the
that's-
company whatsoever.
My
I put it
dear,
in-
there were no papers filed that this was a loan.
And
there were no papers filed that this was a loan.
Then I do have.
I, Mr. Bona, agreed to repay Mr. Morris $5,000 within 2 years because the money she gave me is a loan.
I have 2 personal receipts that were signed by him too.
For?
$2,000 and $500 apiece.
That has nothing to do with this. What are you bringing this in for? I'll see those.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me see those.
He promised to pay me back.
Shh, just a second. What is it? Here you go. Now, this wasn't the $5,000. Is that right, Mr. Morris?
No, this is...
This wasn't the $5,000.
No.
So he promised to pay you these 2 things. I received $2,500 from Mr. Morris and promised to pay her back. I owe Janice DeMars $2,500 for 1 engagement ring set, right? Now,
Yes,
you're not
but
suing for any of this, But when he gives you a loan, he gives you a note.
But then when he agreed to come on the show, he comes over to my place and he goes, Janice, I'm going on the show for a favor for you. Just consider yourself a $5,000 hooker. And that's
Mr.
what
Morris,
you told me. It's
Mr.
ridiculous.
Mr. Morris, he may not be a nice person, madam.
No, he's not.
Very good. You gave him $5,000 anticipating this company was going to make money. It didn't make money. It went out of business. You should have kept better
Where's
track
the
of your
proof?
money. Your case
Where's
is
the
dismissed.
proof?
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, it's totally unfair because it was not a business loan.
This woman is completely insane.
I feel like I should get my money back. I really do. I gave him that money and he's not going to have to pay me back.
I can't believe the lengths this woman has gone to sabotage my relationship with the woman I love.
He came over to my house and said, you know, I'm doing this as a favor for you.
The issue is about a relationship, not about money.
He kept on and off in a relationship, and that's why I waited, because I thought, you know, I was being nice.
She became addicted to me.
But it doesn't pay to be nice.
Some kind of sexual power, you know?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mullendor versus Mayfield. Step forward, please.
21-year-old baker Janelle Mullendor is suing her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, 21-year-old homemaker Melinda Mayfield, for smashing out her car windows. Melinda is countersuing, claiming Janelle trashed her apartment.
Miss Mullendor, you and the defendant have a boyfriend in common, and one of you has a child with him. Which one has the child?
I have a child with Christopher.
Where's Christopher?
He is at work.
What kind of work does Christopher do?
He's a furniture salesman and he moves furniture.
Invisible as he should be. In any event, Miss Mullendor, is your claim that the defendant vandalized your car?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, she was arrested for vandalizing your car.
Yes.
And you went to some sort of a mediation, a criminal mediation.
Yes.
And at the mediation, you promised to do something. What did you promise to do, Miss Mayfield?
I agreed that I would pay Janelle back for the balance owed on her windows that she had to pay. And in the same note, she agreed that she would stay out of my life, out of Christopher's life, and out of our son's life. Leave us alone. And
Okay, now I assume that that was reduced to a writing.
yes.
Can I see it, please? Because suffice it to say that the payment for the window was never made and you have a defense to that. So let me see what you agreed to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Out!
I was a witness to it.
Did you hear what I said to you? Out!
Did you want me to leave?
Yes. What does out mean?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janelle Mullendor says her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, Melinda Mayfield, smashed out her car windows and refuses to pay. Melinda says Janelle won't stay out of her life.
Did you do community service?
No.
They call you Mindy?
Yeah, that's my nickname.
Yeah. Why didn't you do community service?
I had spoken to the woman a few times, and she said they had a list that they were going to mail out to me of places to call on community service, and they never did. And
So you just didn't do that, and you didn't pay her the $520 that you agreed to pay her.
Nope. I have pictures.
Just a second. You don't need any pictures. She said she went through a mediation. Instead of getting arrested, having a record, she agreed to pay for the windows and apologized for breaking them. That's what it says here. So she didn't do community service, and she didn't pay the $520. You didn't have to show me anything. When did you break the windows? And don't tell me I didn't break the windows.
Well, I did not break the windows.
Okay, you did break the windows. When did you break the windows?
She broke them on the November 20th of '01.
Tell me the circumstances for breaking the windows.
She came over to Christopher's apartment, which I was there. We were not allowing her into the apartment because she was very angry. And she banged on the door and she said if I didn't come out, she was going to break all my windows out in my car. And I was like, Christopher, you need to go out there and talk to her. This is your business. Well, she went and got the tire iron out of her car, and she broke out my front windshield, my side windshield, and my back windshield.
And you saw her do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I was not there. I was at my brother's house with
I don't
him.
believe him. I don't believe you. Now, let's go for it. It doesn't make any difference. You agreed to pay for the windows.
So she would
you
stay
didn't
away from
pay
me
for the
and my
windows.
son
You
and
didn't
my
pay for the
boyfriends.
windows. Now you give me the defense.
The reason I did not pay, because in this agreement, she strictly said she was not going to come around me, my child, or my boyfriends.
She said she was going to stay out of her life. She asked for some property that was in the apartment, which I did not know whether or not any of it was hers. I asked Christopher. He said yes, that some of it was, not all of it. We agreed to make a time with her to come give her the things. On Saturday...
So now Christopher's gone back to you?
Yes.
So from being with her, he decided to go back to you?
We've been together since the baby was born.
Was the baby born in November?
January 1st, 2000.
Oh, okay. So while you were pregnant, he was with her?
Right.
And then after the baby was born, he came back to you?
Right.
The prize, who's selling furniture someplace. Okay, so now he's back living with you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So March 23rd, 3 days after our mediation, me and my brother went to my apartment to pick up laundry. Shanda met us over there. Whenever I got there, my door was unlocked. I went inside. My entire apartment was ransacked and trashed. Pictures of me and Christopher holding our son for the first time were demolished, smashed, ripped, torn. And when I spoke to the lady about the mediation, she said that...
what does that have to do with you paying the $520?
The things missing were the things she asked for in the agreement. She obviously didn't stay away. She broke in. She refuses to get out of his life. She lives with his brother. She calls, harasses. She comes by, drives by our house repeatedly.
You choose to have a baby with a loser. That's your problem. You get involved with and that makes you a loser. Hopefully, you'll grow up so that your child won't be a loser.
My child's
but right now, oh yeah, raised by two losers. Unless you wisen up, somebody who lives with one woman while he's impregnated another woman.
She didn't live with him.
Just a minute. Hangs around with her while he's got a pregnant lady who's due to deliver in about 3 months, and then says, well, now I'm going to go live with her, and doesn't have the moral fortitude to come to court with either one of them because he had to work selling his furniture, or was he running IBM? I'm not sure which one you told me, right? That person is a loser. Now, you made an agreement which would keep you from having a record, and that was that you were going to pay for her windows. That's what you do. And if you believe that she was responsible for burglarizing your apartment and for vandalizing your apartment, you call and you make a police report, and if they find her prints there, then they will arrest her. But you don't take it upon yourself to say, listen, I think she's the one who broke into my apartment.
I know she is. She took everything that she wanted.
Pay attention.
She has no proof she busted out the windows either.
Get out. Get out. This is not a dance party.
I'm sorry.
Get out! Out.
I was a witness to it.
Did you hear what I said to you? Out.
Did you want me to leave?
Yes. What does out mean?
I'm sorry about that.
Just out. Out is out. Bottom line, you make an agreement with the criminal justice system. You abide by that decision. And if you feel as if she's breached the decision, you don't resort to self-help and say, I don't have to keep my end of the bargain.
This is what the mediators told me. They said,
listen to me.
Okay, I'm listening.
Tell me what the mediators told you. These are the same mediators who didn't send you a list of places to go to do your community service. Everybody's screwing up except you. Yep. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $520. That's
Hello, I have a counterclaim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just as long as Janelle stays out of our life, out of Christopher's life, she quits stalking us and driving by as much as she can.
Got some real issues. I do stay out of his life. I mean, I live with his brother. And if he calls his brother, that's him.
Maybe if she has a misfortunate accident or something, sometime soon it'll all work out.
I have no problem with Mindy. It was all Christopher. He had us both. I didn't know about her.
She won't stay away. She won't go away. He doesn't even want anything to do with his family now because of her.
I don't want to have to deal with it no more.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2164, Ritter versus McNally Klingenberg.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Ritter, you own a piece of property.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And it's a residential piece of property?
That is correct.
And you use it as a business?
That is correct.
I would assume that this is your tenant.
That is correct.
Perfect. Could you stand up next to Mr. Ritter? What is your last name?
Mason.
Mason. These are your neighbors across the street?
Yes.
I live side by side.
So you're side by side, not across the street?
I live across the street.
Now, there came a time, Miss Mason, that you heard something that was unusual. Can you describe what you saw?
I was startled by the sound of a big thud and my dog freaking out and ran to the window. And so I jumped up, ran to the window where the dog as well was running toward, and looked out the window and seen the truck that had just hit the air conditioning unit.
Could you describe the truck?
A white truck pickup.
How'd you see
the young lady beside him, friend
Miss
across the street?
Klingenberg.
Yes.
When you looked outside, what did you see the truck do next?
As I looked out the window and made eye contact, I seen...
With her?
Yes, I seen Jeff at the back end of the truck, right by the AC unit, kind of backing her off a little bit, kind of gave her a raised hand.
So he was out there as well?
Yes, positioned behind the truck.
What did you do?
Well, I jumped up and then I ran and actually grabbed my phone to take pictures because I did not want to be responsible for what had just happened to the air conditioning unit. As I could tell, it had been moved and hit.
Do you have those photographs?
I did send those to Bob. He has pictures of those.
Kevin? Yes. Want to get them?
I immediately texted Bob as well, letting him know.
So that day, the 20th of August, you went, took photographs of the truck?
Yes, ma'am, and the yard and the air conditioning unit.
McNally?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where had you been camping?
We were camping in a place called McCall, Idaho.
Aside from you and Miss Klingenberg, who were there?
My son.
See how easy this is? It's going to get easier. Do you understand? Okay. Now, is this your girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. Now we got that clear. This is your girlfriend. You and your girlfriend were camping. Your son was with you. And what you were doing that day was you were trying to unload the truck with the camping gear, correct?
Correct.
Is the camping gear heavy?
Yes.
So somebody was driving the truck and somebody was schlepping the stuff out of the truck to put it away, right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. McNally, you don't want me to believe that either you or stand up, or this guy were just twiddling your thumbs and you backed up the truck so that you left Miss Clay unchivalrous, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So when you were first confronted with this, you said, oh, my girlfriend wasn't driving, right?
Right.
So let's get it straight now, because that's what you wrote here in your answer. Oh, my girlfriend wasn't driving, my son was driving. That's not true. I don't know why you would choose to say my son was driving, not my girlfriend, unless she doesn't have a driver's license, because otherwise there'd be no difference whether your truck was being driven by you or your son or your girlfriend. Do you understand? No difference. Your truck being driven with you around hit his air conditioning unit. So what difference does it make? You have a driver's license?
I do not.
There you go. Perfect.
I was not driving, Your Honor.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. You were driving, and he says you were. You see, and you have a driver's license?
Yes.
Yes. But how did I know you didn't? Where do you think I got that from? I got that from common sense, because Mr. McNally doesn't look like a stupid man. And there would be really no difference if he drove the car, you drove the car, the son drove the car, his car caused damage. But in order to perhaps have insurance cover it, if he had insurance on the truck, do you?
My insurance had actually elapsed.
What? Okay. So it really didn't make any difference. If you had no insurance, you could have said she was driving. But didn't think that far. Okay, so that's why we're here. We're here because you let an unlicensed driver drive your truck that was uninsured that you took on a camping trip. Is this coming together for me?
It's close.
So now we got that straight, right? The next thing we have to take care of are the damages. I see that the outer part of this air conditioning unit was definitely hit. Now, she was driving, damaged the mechanism of the air conditioner because you replaced the unit and you want him to be responsible for the unit, right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
I have to see a photograph because I don't have this photograph of the inside of this. I just have the photograph of the cover.
I do not have the inside, but I do have from two HVAC companies that did go out to service it. One that did the replacement, the other that came out second opinion, as Jeff had asked us to do, which we did.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
This will be the second, and this is the actual invoice for payment.
Oh, this is the second opinion. This says second opinion call, lipstick on it. That's the guts of it.
This says immediate repair, replace condenser coil and damaged panels, $39.61.
Correct.
Replacing the unit instead may be an option to consider. And to do the whole job, what did he want, $5,000?
The other side, $34.50 to replace the identical unit.
Okay, and to
Only 4 years.
repair.
It was less money to
replace
it.
than to repair.
Correct.
Okay. Do you understand that now?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Your
So,
Honor.
based upon your request, he got a second opinion. Second opinion was for more money to repair. He chose the lesser of the two, which is to replace the unit. The ball is in your court, sir.
Garrett was actually driving.
I don't believe it. You've had some time to reprocess it all. You would have had the boy, that's what you raised them for, strong boys. You wouldn't have said, well, you just sit in the car.
Claims homeowners Jeff McNally and Angela Klingenberg owe for property damage after hitting his air conditioner.
Your car, uninsured as the damage is on your truck, sir. There's a picture of your truck here. You want to see it? Or you don't have to see it. You'd be better off just saying, you know what? I don't have the money. You'd be better off just saying, because we started out wrong, you and I, Mr. McNally. And the wrong started off was claimed his son was driving, even though Regina clearly saw his girlfriend. Okay, so that was a fib here.
Actually, Your Honor, if I may, there was just one front seat, a bench seat, and she was sitting in the middle, and Garrett was actually driving.
I don't believe it, sir. You've had some time to reprocess it all. That's not true. She was driving because if you were unloading the truck, you would have had the boy. That's what you raised them for, strong boys. See your eyes. Perfect. Thank you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,800. It's not a good idea, Mr. McNally, to show your son that it's the right thing to do, not to tell the truth. That's a very good lesson that parents should teach their children right from the get-go. And accepting responsibility for what was clearly an accident. I mean, she didn't mean to back into his air conditioner, right?
Right.
It happened. It was an accident. That's why they don't call it an on purpose. It was an accident. But once you have an accident, you have to accept responsibility. That's what you want to teach him. And if he lifts his hair, he'll be able to see and be able to hear better. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
We were all sitting in the front of the bench seat, so I was in the middle, and I think when she initially came out, she saw me sitting in the truck, but maybe she assumed I was sitting in the driver's seat, but I wasn't.
Nope, my vision was great that day. It did make me jump, and my dog was freaking out, so I definitely knew something hit the house.
I told him that my son and I were emptying firewood.
That case was a great demonstration of how being well prepared and doing the right thing can make the justice system work for you in the right way. He had all of his evidence laid out exactly how he needed to present it to you, and he had the damage evidence, he had the photographs, and he did the right thing. He didn't try and get a whole new unit for the $5,000. He said, I'll get the 2 estimates if that's what you want me to do. So it just shows how being prepared and having all your ducks in a row can really benefit you when you come into a court system.
But my problem was telling the lie after you've sworn to tell the truth in front of his son, because those things remain embedded in your children. You want to be a good parent. The first thing you have to teach your children is to be honest. And if he sees that his father and the father's girlfriend are dishonest, that will become part of his fabric. That's a mistake. So,
Cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
Mr. Rigo, you and Mr. Ulrich were friends. You were traveling together for business. What kind of business were you in other than this cryptocurrency?
First off, we weren't friends initially. We were first business partners, and we worked together underneath my mentor through his company, Symbio. Yes.
Okay. And what kind of business?
It was teaching workforce development for, I guess you could say, people who needed skills so they can be prepared for engineering jobs.
Okay. You worked at the same company?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you decide to go into this business together?
Around January to February 2021.
This has to do with cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Okay. This cryptocurrency business that you went into together, did you form a company or an LLC?
He already had a company established. I was doing it more as a recreation, but...
So the answer is you and the defendant, when you wanted to go together into this business, did not form a separate company?
No.
So individually, it is your claim that you spent, I know nothing about cryptocurrency. I am of the Charlie Munger school of cryptocurrency. I think it's all about the emperor's new clothes. And unless I can feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it, or bite on it, it doesn't exist. So I want you to know that's where I'm starting.
Yes.
Okay? So you're going to explain to me what the business was that you were doing with him that involved buying $20,000 worth of equipment, which you now say is in his possession that you want back.
Yes.
Cryptocurrency.
Okay. He mentioned that he knew how to mine cryptocurrency.
Okay.
That's how we
now
use it.
I understand that those are the words that you use. Where is the mine?
May I explain cryptocurrency to you a little more too, Your Honor?
Oh, I'd love to hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Not like anything. It's like the emperor's new clothes.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially, cryptocurrency...
That's why it collapsed.
Yes. Cryptocurrency mining is just...
You know that it collapsed.
Oh, yes, it collapsed.
Everybody knows that it collapsed.
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie Munger predicted that a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially...
You know that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what you were involved in is a shill game of Emperor's New Clothes, which would have involved all of your investors. Who was it that created cryptocurrency? The Winklevoss?
I don't know who created cryptocurrency.
Brothers? I don't know. Not sure. In any event, somebody had a vivid imagination.
Yes, ma'am. But all crypto is we essentially use our computer resources, specifically a piece called a graphics card that is really good at solving equations. We essentially solve equations for money. That's really all mining is. And
You
so we
solve
generate revenue.
equations for money.
Yes, ma'am.
What equations?
I don't know the specific equations. Essentially, the equations are so complex that when you solve them, you're rewarded for your time and the effort that your computer put into it, and that's where the revenue or mining comes from.
Really bright young man.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
You really should find something important to do.
I've changed sectors since then, Your Honor.
You have equipment that he paid for?
No, Your Honor. I would actually like to
Just
get in.
a second. I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
asking a question. I thought maybe we could resolve this. Show me what equipment you purchased, sir, the receipts for it, and tell me where it is.
And so we're not here specifically for the GPUs that he claimed.
The what?
GPUs, graphic cards.
Just a second. Don't say anything to me, sir. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering.
Tobias Eagle claims his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, owes for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
I can profits and return or value of equipment.
Yes.
I'm not concerned about cryptocurrency profits because I think cryptocurrency is a whole lot of who shot John. And the only ones that probably got skunked are any investors that you put into cryptocurrency.
Well, it still has value, so.
Well, you know something? You tell that to all the people who lost billions in the last 2 weeks. Would you mind just showing me the equipment that you purchased and receipts for it? I didn't ask you for anything.
Yes, Your Honor.
Equipment that you purchased. Okie dokie.
And so for this equipment, it was purchased through an auctioning site. And so they only have a year delay, and then that was the only information I was able to receive from them.
That's not helpful to me, sir. That's not helpful to me at all. I can't, what am I supposed to do with this?
That's just showing that I have proof that I purchased the equipment.
Doesn't show me how much.
It wasn't how much I bought it for. It was because I plan on rebuying the equipment. And so that's just proof that I bought the equipment and that he has it. And there were specifically 12
and
of those.
2 Dell towers.
Yes.
Everything here are things that you want back from him.
Yes.
You have nothing in your house of these things.
Of those things, no. Those are in his barn right now.
Okay. Do you have these things?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever have this in your possession?
Yes, at one point I did have it in my possession.
When?
I had it in my possession when we were at a shared facility that was in Rancho Cordova.
Now you're not in a shared facility anymore.
Yes, ma'am. Since we were in a shared facility, I have never had the equipment in my possession. Furthermore, the equipment that he's talking about has nothing to do with this case. This case is primarily around the assets.
You have no idea how simple I'm going to make this, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
He has receipts for certain equipment.
I have receipts for more equipment, and I have a very
Just a second. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it.
Where is the equipment that you claim he has that belongs to you?
It was originally at his house when we moved out of the facility. I relocated all of it to his house. I have an inventory ran on the last day I was at his house, marked with the location, the equipment, and a lot of details. I would love to show it to Your Honor if that's acceptable.
Just a second. Do you have...
On that list? No.
No. Do you have any equipment at your house?
Yes.
What equipment do you have at your house?
The graphics cards that he's talking about.
So you have the graphics cards that belong to him?
No, they belong to me mostly. So I bought most.
What do you mean that they belong to you mostly?
I bought most of the graphics cards. He put in some money for some equipment expenses. And for my estimates, which I wish I could have asked him, was around $3,000 that he put in. And I put around $15,000.
How do you expect a court to dissect this business mess that you've created?
I'm not here for the GPUs or graphics cards. That's why I completely left them out.
But he has a counterclaim.
And that's fine. He can present it.
I understand that.
Sorry.
How do you expect some value of what you claim you spent for this because there are no amounts on it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a problem.
I do have documentation, Your Honor, of all of it, and it's labeled who purchased it and the amounts. In addition, the second page here has the totals that he was talking about, and the documentation pages are below
now,
that.
Great. That isn't a lot of very expensive stuff that you paid for, Mr. Ulrich.
There's not too much, no.
No, there isn't too much expensive stuff here, right?
Yes.
You know, we have something for $24, something for $15. You paid for the little stuff, he paid for the big stuff.
Two things, Your Honor, that I would like to mention. First of all, he did not purchase $20,000 worth of assets. This is a highly inflated number. I can actually prove this.
Just a second, asset. It belongs to each of you. You're not in business anymore.
Yes.
So all I have to know is what do you have at your house and what do you have at yours?
He has everything, including all the physical assets. The only thing that I have at my house, Your Honor, is, or it's actually on my computer, technically stored in a digital wallet. A digital wallet is the same thing as a regular wallet. This is just how we store cryptocurrency.
I don't want to care about that. I don't care about that. All I'm talking about is equipment.
So I have no equipment at my house, Your Honor.
What equipment does he have in his house?
He has everything that's listed on that document that I gave you, and I actually do have proof that he has it because...
I'd like to see it.
So these are text messages from my roommate to his mother.
From who?
From my roommate. He was supposed to be here as a witness.
If he's not here, you can't show me texts from him.
He wasn't able to
Well, you can't prove something to me via hearsay from a witness who's not here.
It's not hearsay. It's just text messages that he gave.
That's hearsay by a person not here. You know, I actually don't think that you're ready to have this case tried. I can't help you. You say you don't have anything in your house. You can't afford it.
I have documentation here that at the value at which I have to pay to buy it back. Because since it was through an auctioning site, I don't remember. I had several auctions I bought most of that equipment from.
You can show me a bank statement where you paid money to an auction house. I just want to see an amount that you paid to the auction house.
I don't have that on me currently.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Your
Your case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the courts where you originally came from and see if they can help you any more than I'm willing to. Can't help you until you get your documentation together, sir. You're the plaintiff in this case. I can't award. You don't have anything if you don't have what you paid for the equipment.
But
he said he doesn't have the equipment.
And he's lying.
It may be, and the proof that you have is inadmissible here because your friend who authored those texts is not here. The case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the court where you started. Ms. Crossley, I'm going to start with you. You and Mr. Smith were in a romantic relationship for a period of time.
Yes.
From when to when?
I want to say it was about a year before my son was born. My son was born February 11th, 2019, and our relationship ended about 4 or 5 months after he was born.
And after you separated, according to what I read, you sort of remained friends.
Yes.
Great. You had some trouble with your finances, and you had serious debt. What kind of work do you do?
I am a credit collections agent.
Not a good thing when you're a credit collections agent. And this was after you had already been separated for a long period of time. And at some point, what I'm piecing together is you discussed your financial circumstances with Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And one of your options was to seek protection in bankruptcy.
Correct.
And Mr. Smith thought that that was a bad idea. And since he had credit, he would take out the loan and you would pay that loan off, which was manageable every month. Is that generally what this is about? Yes.
His behavior had started getting irrational, scary. Started calling me a lot, asking my whereabouts, texting me, driving by my house on several occasions I saw.
I'm still not understanding.
Justin Smith claims his ex-girlfriend just
two this year.
What were the payments each month, starting in March or April, principal and interest?
He had told me that it was $500.
Told you they were $500. He took out that loan, and am I correct, Ms. Crosley, that you paid off your credit card debt?
Yes.
And you paid off your debt with the loan that he took out?
Yes.
And you did, in fact, create a situation where the money, because you were employed, would come out directly from your bank account to go to pay off the loan to his bank account?
Yes.
And you did that in what month?
That was started, I believe, at the end of April or beginning of May.
And how many such payments did you make?
Biweekly payments, I believe I made about 6.
Thereby acknowledging that
I had started seeing my current boyfriend.
This is not a social show. Just tell me why.
So I had to take a day off of work to file for an order of protection.
Why did you have to take a day off from work to file for an order of protection?
Because I was advised to by a police officer I spoke to.
Okay. And I assume against him?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the incident.
Okay. So in July, when I started seeing my current boyfriend, Justin had expressed that he wanted us to get back together. And I had told him no, that was not going to happen. And then his behavior had started getting irrational, scary. I had allowed his mother to take my son to a play, and she was supposed to drop him off back to me. And instead of dropping him back off to me, she had dropped him off with his father at his work. And then I got a call from Justin yelling, saying, "Where are you? What are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm on my way back home. Your mom's supposed to drop off Braden." He's like, "I have Braden. I'll meet you at your house." So I said, okay. We got to outside my house, and then he pulled up next to me and then started screaming out of the car, like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" I was like, "I was spending time with Anthony, my boyfriend." And he's like, "I'm taking Braden. I'm not going to give him back to you." And my son's crying in the back seat. And I said, "No, you give him back to me. It is my day to have him." And he drove away. He later called me and said I could meet them at Dairy Queen. So I met them there. He threw a milkshake at my car, which scared me and my son very much.
Okay, good. And you filed for an order of protection. You had a trial on the order of protection, yes. And the judge dismissed your order of protection.
Yes.
After the trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm still not understanding why you stopped paying on the loan.
So when I had lost my job.
You lost your job when?
The next day. The incident happened on the 19th. I had to take the 20th off to file for the order of protection. The 21st, I was let go.
Oh, that had nothing to do with you being let go. Nothing. I just want to know why you stopped paying on the loan. You stopped paying on the loan because you lost your job?
Had stopped paying for daycare, which was our agreed upon child support payment. We don't have a court order for child support, but he had been paying all of daycare. I cover all of his other finances.
So that was an agreement that you had, that he would pay for daycare?
Yes.
Okay. And he stopped paying in July?
Yes. He's started only paying half of daycare.
Okay, so let's go back. He started paying for half.
Yes.
How much was he supposed to pay per month?
$560 was the full amount of daycare each month.
Okay, and he had been paying that. In July, he cut it down to?
To $270, I believe.
80.
Okay, so he wasn't completely not paying. He was paying part of it.
Correct.
Tell me why you cut the payments in half, because you have a counterclaim for that.
Yeah. So in July, we started a custody case for full custody of our son.
You're talking in July. Who started the custody case?
I did.
The court there will make a determination as far as future child support and whether or not this daycare should have been paid. So you have no reason for not paying the loan.
I was planning on filing bankruptcy.
Okay, but you didn't. You didn't file for bankruptcy. You did the smart thing. How much is left on the loan?
It's in excess of $12,000 or $11,000.
What interest rate is on that loan, by the way?
36%, I believe. Current balance as of November 30th, $12,631.
How is that 30%? Oh, wow. Okay, you have a counterclaim. Harassment, daycare costs is out. Lost wages because you say you had to take a day off to file a protective order and you were fired? Nonsense. Harassment, let's hear it. And don't go back to anything that you told the judge during the hearing that you had where he dismissed your application for an order of protection.
Okay, well, the order of protection.
Okay,
that was.
They're just shh. Well, if that's the testimony, it's already been adjudicated. A judge, using the same measure of proof that I would use, dismissed your case. So I'm not relitigating that case. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I believe he was angry that I started a relationship with somebody.
I think the restraining order was part of her defense as to why she didn't want to pay me back anymore.
I was ready to file bankruptcy, and he had offered to take it out for me.
Court systems and restraining orders to get out of a loan that you have really no excuse for not paying except for you lost your job. And I just think it's tricky. I think that a lot of defendants come in here and think that they can just say, I didn't have the money and so I don't have to pay it. But that's not the case.
What was most interesting to me is these 800% or 500% or 100% interest-bearing loans.
I know, it's something.
Where did that come from?
It's something I've seen recently in the past couple of years. It seems like every online shopping venue now has some form of loan payment or loan offering or something.
2 kayaks and an assault.
Miss Fallis, it is your claim you and the defendant were friends, been friends for a while.
Yes.
Your allegations are twofold. First, you say that the defendant assaulted you after a party.
Yes.
You weren't injured as a result of that assault. You didn't seek medical attention, but you said you had some scratches and that she hit you.
Yes.
Okay.
So she was on top of me. I was scratching, hitting, pulling, trying to...
Elizabeth Follis claims her former friend, Christy Masenbach, owes for 2.
You gave the defendant 2 kayaks that you had purchased.
Correct.
Because the defendant has a piece of property and you didn't have a place to store them, and you asked if you could store them at the defendant's home.
Correct.
She said yes. You're no longer friends after this kerfuffle that took place after a party, and you would like the 2 kayaks back.
Her mom couldn't take them with her, so I have the messages of those 2, but I bought them on Facebook.
And how much did you pay?
$320, or $350, sorry.
For both of them or each?
For both of them.
And when did you begin storing them at the defendant's?
I brought them over the next day after I bought them, because I live in an upstairs apartment. I had nowhere to keep them. So she has a house that she lives in, so it was a better situation for them.
Where are you living now?
I still live in an upstairs apartment.
Where are you going to put the kayaks?
I was planning on storage, or maybe find a family member who has a home to take them to. But to basically probably buy them this year, this April 2022.
Oh, 2022.
Sorry, yeah, 22.
Okay. Have you used them?
Yeah, I use them often with my daughter. She's 5 and autistic.
Have you used them with the defendant?
No.
Have you used the kayaks?
Personally, I have not yet. I haven't had the chance to.
Just to say, you have not?
I have not yet, no.
Okay, you acknowledge the fact that the plaintiff, who was then your friend, brought them over for you to store. You're not friends anymore. She wants them back. Why not? Not the important part of this case.
Okay. So the kayaks, originally, it was a deal that if I was to keep them at my house, that we could both use them. When she wanted them back, I just didn't necessarily feel like that was fair, because the original agreement was that they were kind of almost both ours. I just didn't have the opportunity to use them yet.
Okay. All right, well, now you're not friends anymore. Now she wants them back. So she's going to pick up the kayaks within 5 days. If you don't pick them up within 5 days, you're out of luck. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay, good. So within 5 days from today's date, we'll prepare an order. You can pick up the kayaks. Now, you want to...
Time and...
Just a second, so you don't have any photos. Do you have any medical reports?
I don't.
Okay. This alleged assault happened on what date?
It was August 17th, 2022.
Were you both out that night, or were you having a party in a house?
So what happened was her girlfriend had cheated on her, and they broke up, and she invited me and a couple other friends to the home where we were there. My daughter was also there. I went to go sleep with my daughter in the room. Everybody had left maybe around 12 a.m., and she came into the room wanting to talk, wanting someone to be there with her. But I was asleep. I'm not a very happy person to be woken up to. So I told her no, like, we'll talk in the morning. She wasn't okay with that. She started getting mad, so she started getting upset, and my daughter was next to me, so I was like, well, then I'm gonna leave. And so I tried to walk out. She grabbed me, she threw me to the ground. She's stronger than me, so she was on top of me. I was scratching, hitting, pulling, trying to just get away. My daughter was screaming and crying. She's autistic, so she doesn't really understand what was going on, but she was highly upset. She was screaming no. And I don't think she really remembers everything, and it just happened so fast, but I was finally able to leave and get out the home with my daughter safely.
Okay, good. Okay, bad behavior. Bad behavior.
I agree.
Bad behavior? Okay. I wish I had a photograph. And you said you didn't think it was fair when she wanted her kayaks back because we were going to use them together. But now you're not going to use them together because you don't like each other anymore. So you're not going to use them together, so she's going to get them back.
Alrighty.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
There was a lot more to the story than happened, but unfortunately, I guess the best outcome would be just to go ahead and give her back her kayak. So
It shouldn't have gone to this point. I should have got it back after the incident. It should have, for adults, it should have went way smoother.
there was a lot more insult that happened, like on both ends. It wasn't necessarily just kind of, go south, and unfortunately, we lost our friendship over that. So
We've been friends since middle school, so I don't know what the future holds, but I hope maybe one day we can talk and we can work things out.
Only time will tell.
I think probably the only thing that bothered me in that case was what the 5-year-old was doing out at midnight at a party where people, at a gathering where people would get. Ms. Morrissey, you have a lot of claims here against the defendant for a personal loan and the value of personal belongings.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. She was a friend of yours. You used to go gambling together, Ms. Morrissey?
Yes, we did.
How many times a week did you go gambling?
Probably once or twice a week.
And did you go just the two of you?
Yes.
And over what period of time?
Over
a year, 2, 3?
Probably a year.
There was a time when you went, and according to you, Miss Comer didn't have any money. And so you agreed to advance her money. And she says, actually, you agreed to advance her money. And the agreement was if you won, she would pay you back with her winnings, whatever it was. Whatever it was. How much money did you give her to gamble?
I loaned her $230 with the agreement that she would pay me an extra $200 because we were going to go meet at the casino, but I didn't really want to do it because I have a boyfriend that doesn't
Just a second. I don't need a whole story.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So she went to the casino without me, and then she came by my house after that and told me that she spent her boyfriend's money at the casino, and so that she was supposed to use it at the store. And so I gave her the money to cover that, and that's when we made that agreement.
You gave her the money to cover that because she asked you for it?
Yes.
And she agreed to pay you back?
Yes.
Lost some of your
boyfriend in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money?
Tabitha Morrissey claims her former friend, Tina Comer, owes for an unpaid loan and personal belongings.
Go.
No, it was in February.
February.
I won a jackpot.
Just a second. February, did you go to the casino and lose some of your boyfriend's money?
No.
Okay. Did you go to her house and tell her that you lost some of your boyfriend?
It wasn't in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money at the casino?
$30 of it.
I don't want to hear you.
Sorry.
So I asked Tabitha if she would take me back up to get my jackpot money, and I would pay her the money that I owe her, plus give her $60 for gas. And that's when I paid her the money back. And then her boyfriend also, there's some guy that she brought up there with us, asked if he can borrow some money because he said Tabitha said she'll pay me back. So I gave him $100 too.
When you came back and told her that you had lost some of your boyfriend's money, according to you, it was $30, not $230.
Yeah, it was $30. I already paid her the $2-something when she took me to Cass Creek in February.
Oh, that was before.
Yeah, that's why I didn't owe her no money. But I paid her back in February, the money that I did owe her.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, well, here's where I won the money.
Proof. I also got proof of her saying that when she still owed me the money back in May. I got proof of that too.
Casino check. I'm not interested in this.
That's when I won the money.
I don't care.
And the other one shows when I had to go back and pick it up.
I don't care about that either.
And then...
Shh. April 28th. I can loan you some. That's in April.
Yeah, I said April 28th.
So that's when she asks for some money?
Yes.
And that was the $230?
Yes.
I'd like to see what you have.
This is...
That's April. That's not February.
No. That's in June when she told me how...
She's only gone to cash
what she owed me in cash-wise.
Okay, so on June, and you say to her, so don't tell me you don't steal from me. Friends don't steal from friends. So I won't burn you for what I borrowed, which is $230. But I decided I will not give you the other $200. So I'm just not going to give you the extra. That's what it's going to cost you for stealing from me. You should think twice before you steal from, because I could say, I'm not giving you nothing, so I'm only taking back what I was going to give you. We had to sign some more papers, so I should get it. She lied, saying the hair clippers were hers. I don't care about all that. Okay, I'm going to deal with this loan of $230. And it's clear from your statement, Ms. Comer, although it's usurious interest, and I'm not going to grant you that other $200 because it's outrageous. She's giving you 100% interest on the $230, but you are entitled to your $230 back.
But
okay, because she acknowledges, just a second, she acknowledges the debt on June 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about the personal belongings that you say? And don't give me a lot of nonsense. I'm not listening to a lot of nonsense.
Okay, yes. She came to me and said she wanted to do a yard sale, so we were going to do it in May.
Okay, you were supposed to do a yard sale.
Yes.
It worked for a week. It didn't work the next week. What items do you say she has of yours?
She has Judith.
Well, what did she end up with your stuff for? You were there at the yard sale.
I didn't have a car, so she came and picked me up and took me to my storage to go get my yard sale stuff to take over to her house to do it in the yard sale. She was supposed to contact me and come get me when she was getting ready to do the yard sale. I stayed the night at her house, and we were setting up all night long because it was a really big yard sale. It was more like a flea market type thing. And she never contacted me after dropping me back off at home, and she said that my personal belongings.
You have it?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you. So this looks like a lot of cheap plastic crystals.
No, my wedding ring was in that box. I had my box of jewelry with me to go through when I stayed the night at her house, and I was taking out the other jewelry, and the box that was coming with me home, she was loading it up, and she said it fell out of her car. So I don't see how it fell out, but she said it did. So when she got there that night, she said she'd seen it in her driveway. So, I mean, that had my wedding ring in it. And I was in the middle of getting the divorce, but it still means something to me.
Mm-hmm. $230.
Because she just doesn't want to pay me my money.
She could just wants to get money out of me. Because I won 2 jackpots and I got my mother's inheritance.
It hurts very much.
She's done.
I don't even care to see her.
That was really very simple when you discarded this garage sale and crystal beads listed as some of the items in the text message that were their boyfriends. Tweezers. Mm-hmm. When you got rid of that, it was actually pretty simple.
Cash loan, $230.
Cash loan, $230 that she acknowledged in June.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng học khoa học tự nhiên lớp 7, bài ánh sáng. Năng lượng ánh sáng. Ánh sáng là một dạng của năng lượng. Nếu cầm kính lúp dưới ánh nắng mặt trời để tập trung ánh sáng lên đầu que diêm thì que diêm có thể bốc cháy. Đây là hình ảnh minh họa cho thí nghiệm. Cầm kính lúp. Đây là que diêm. Giữ que diêm thẳng. Ánh sáng mặt trời đi qua kính lúp chiếu vào que diêm có thể làm que diêm bốc cháy. Nguồn sáng là vật tự nó phát ra ánh sáng như mặt trời, ngọn lửa. Hầu hết các nguồn sáng phát ra ánh sáng cùng với sự tỏa nhiệt. Vật sáng gồm nguồn sáng và những vật hắt lại ánh sáng chiếu vào nó. Mặt trăng là một vật sáng. Nó không tự phát ra ánh sáng mà nó hắt lại một phần ánh sáng mặt trời chiếu vào. Tia sáng từ bề mặt của một vật phát sáng, ánh sáng phát ra theo mọi hướng. Khi ánh sáng truyền trong các môi trường trong suốt và đồng tính như không khí, thủy tinh, nước, ta thấy ánh sáng đi theo đường thẳng. Có thể thấy rõ điều này khi ánh sáng truyền qua một lỗ nhỏ, và đó cũng là một mô hình tia sáng. người ta quy ước biểu diễn tia sáng bằng một đường thẳng có mũi tên chỉ hướng. Đây là hình ảnh ánh sáng truyền qua lỗ nhỏ theo đường thẳng. Trong thực tế, không thể nhìn thấy một tia sáng mà chỉ nhìn thấy một chùm sáng gồm nhiều tia sáng hợp thành. Đây là ví dụ chùm sáng đi qua đám mây. Đây chính là chùm sáng song song, chùm sáng phân kỳ, và đây là chùm sáng hội tụ. Khi vẽ các chùm sáng, người ta quy ước vẽ chùm gồm các tia sáng hoặc chỉ vẽ hai tia ngoài cùng của chùm tia. Đây chính là hình biểu diễn các chùm sáng. Với các dụng cụ, đèn tạo ra chùm sáng hẹp song song, tấm bìa chắn sáng, giấy trắng. Hãy lên phương án và tiến hành thí nghiệm để tạo ra các chùm sáng trên mặt giấy